Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Adam Bergman's Money Makers, where we talk about personal finance and your personal growth. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just an entertainer and educator at best, talking about my own personal plays. I definitely urge you to do your own research in anything that we speak about, and don't listen to me, and definitely don't listen to any other YouTuber. None of this is financial advice, one more time. Guys, today I want to talk about a fantastic company called NVIDIA. Before I speak about it, I do want to tell you that I hold a six-figure position in NVIDIA. The ticker symbol is NVDA. NVIDIA has seen better days, and it is far off of its all-time high of around $346 and currently trading at around $200. At one point, NVIDIA was very close to getting to a $1 trillion market cap, and in my personal belief, I'm going to tell you later on in this video if it could still get to a $1 trillion market cap. It fell short right around that $830 billion market cap. The point of this video is to give you three things. Number one, I want to explain to you what exactly NVIDIA is, what it does, and why it's so important. Number two, I want to give you an article which is a bear case scenario. And number three, I want to give you an article that is a bull case scenario. At the end of this video, hopefully these questions get answered and you can make up your decision just a little bit better and gain some entertainment and educational know-how to do your own research. Now, before we start, please consider giving me a like, a share, and subscribe. And if I didn't earn that yet and you're new to my channel, please wait until after the video. And if I did a good job, then please give me that like, the share, and the subscribe. Let's begin. You can power your computer by two ways. You have a CPU and you have a GPU. A CPU stands for a central processing unit, while a GPU stands for a graphics processing unit. The difference between the two is simple. A CPU powers your computer for a general wide array of different tasks with no specific goals. And if you hone into a specific thing that you want to do that's very energy intensive or processing intensive, your CPU just does not cut it. A GPU, on the other hand, is honed into a specific thing that you're trying to do. It is a graphics processing unit that is usually used for rendering, for designs, for ASICs. What exactly is an ASIC? An ASIC is an application-specific integrated circuit. That just means that your computer is built not just to do many tasks, but specific tasks as well. It's built specifically for a specific task, one specific goal of that computer. To give you a great example, let's talk about the ASIC miners. Those are the computers that everybody uses to mine Bitcoin. You never use those computers to actually go surf the internet and things like that. No, you literally use the computer for one thing and one thing only, to mine Bitcoin. How do you mine Bitcoin? You have to solve complex mathematical formulas in competition with a lot of other people, and the first person that can compute and solve that mathematical equation, it gets the Bitcoin rewards. That is an oversimplified explanation, but you get the gist of it. Well, NVIDIA is bar none number one on top of that hill of computers that can give you that power. NVIDIA GPU chips are no competition better than second place. But who is in second place? In my personal opinion, AMD. And who's in third place? Intel. So that's the competition. NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel. AMD and Intel, not really competition for NVIDIA because NVIDIA has a moat around it that their GPUs are just so much better. Why did NVIDIA grow? What happened? Well, COVID happened. What happened during COVID? Computing power was needed. Why? Everybody started staying at home. Everybody started working from home. Everybody needed laptops to work from home. If before you were working in a company, let's say, that company provided you with a desktop that you worked in the office. Well, for nearly 2 years, everybody started working at home. A lot of the people that are working from home are architects, graphic designers, website designers, and people that use Adobe and Adobe-like applications. And don't forget these people who are YouTubers. Unfortunately, it didn't start during COVID, and it started at the end of COVID about a year ago. But that's okay. With a rush to people working from home and getting into all of these amazing industries, you needed stronger computing power. What gave you that computing power? NVIDIA's GPUs. The thing is, there was a lot of bottlenecking because there was not enough supply to meet all the demand. So when there's not enough supply to meet demand, you have to increase the prices because not everybody can get something. By increasing the prices, people were buying NVIDIA GPUs. Because NVIDIA has a pricing power moat around it, what does that mean? That means they can raise the prices and people will still buy because the GPUs are an absolute necessity. It is almost as a necessity as water and food. Why? Although food sustains you physically, you need to have an ability to work. And that computer that NVIDIA allows to become a powerhouse of production is what sustains you monetarily because you can now do work. So that's a brief history of what exactly NVIDIA does. This is a very, very simplistic explanation because NVIDIA did grow into a lot of different industries. During NVIDIA's Investors Day, they said that they see a $1 trillion TAM. TAM stands for Total Addressable Market that they're going into. NVIDIA believes that they could grab 1% of any market that they touch. There's going to be a couple of markets that they're trying to get into. The total market TAM for all of these markets is 100 trillion, and they believe they could get 1% of that. I'm going to give you all of these markets at the end of this video. With that said, I now want to give you a bear case scenario and a bull case scenario, two different articles that was recently written about NVIDIA. This article was written today at 6:15 a.m. This was written by Motley Fool. It's titled, Will NVIDIA be a $1 trillion stock by 2025? Now, I have my own opinion about NVIDIA stock, and I'm going to give it to you at the end of this video. But let's hear his scenario. The chip maker nearly joined the 12-0 club last year, but it could be a while before it gets back there. NVIDIA's stock closed at an all-time high of $333 on November 29, 2021, which gave the chipmaker a market cap of around $834 billion. At the time, NVIDIA seemed destined to become a $1 trillion company. But after hitting an all-time high, NVIDIA's stock shed over a third of its value and its market cap dropped to less than $550 billion. The bulls fled amid concerns about a post-COVID lockdown slowdown in PC sales, while rising interest rates exacerbated the pain by sparking a sell-off in higher growth stocks. So I agree in the sell-off of higher growth stocks. I don't necessarily agree with everything else. And then he says, can NVIDIA regain its momentum to finally join the 12-0 club by 2025? Let's examine its upcoming catalysts and challenges to find. NVIDIA could face a cyclical slowdown. NVIDIA's stock hit an all-time high last year as its gaming and data center GPU business generated dazzling growth throughout the pandemic. In the 2022 fiscal year, which ended in January, NVIDIA's revenue surged 61% to $26.91 billion as its adjusted earnings per share grew 78%. Its adjusted operating margin jumped 640 basis points to 47.2%. It attributed most of its growth to its robust sales of gaming and data-centered GPUs. Correct. These are phenomenal numbers, by the way. These are great numbers. What they're going to try to say is that these numbers are not going to be matched. But over the next 3 fiscal years, analysts expect NVIDIA's revenue growth to decelerate as the upgrade cycle cools off. On the bright side, they expect to adjusted operating margin to consistently rise as it benefits from improved scale and pricing power in the GPU market. So they're saying that the revenue is going to be 29% in 2023, then it's going to be 17% in 24 and 12% in 25. Remember, this is not NVIDIA's, but these are just what analysts are saying. Adjusted operating margins was 48%, then it's going to be 49%, then it's going to be 51%. So although the revenue is going to be decreasing, the margins are going to be slightly increasing, which is something that you definitely want to see. But how is the revenue going to be decreasing, but the margins are going to be increasing? Well, as NVIDIA does major business, they're able to reduce their costs. As they do more and more things in-house, they're able to reduce their costs. As they offer more and more services, they're able to reduce their costs. And the adjusted earnings per share growth is going to be 15% in 2023, 34% in 24, and 11% in 2025. If those expectations are met, they say NVIDIA would generate only $45.64 billion in revenue with an adjusted earnings per share of $6.59 in 2025. Now they're going to do a multiple. This is one of the ways that you could figure out a price of a stock, a price of a company. They do a multiple of earnings. NVIDIA currently trades at 16 times its revenue and about 50 times its EPS estimates for fiscal 2023. If Nvidia still trades at those forward valuations at the end of fiscal 2024 and hits the estimates, it would have a market cap of about $730 billion. So although that is a huge upside to where we are right now of around 50%, it is definitely not $1 trillion or a downside of 30% from $1 trillion, but an upside of 50% from where we are now. However, those valuations would still be too rich for a company that's growing its revenue and earnings in the low teens. Therefore, I think Nvidia's market cap might stay between $500 billion and $700 billion over the next 3 years as it grapples with a cyclical slowdown in the GPU market. So this article is saying that no, Nvidia cannot reach $1 trillion, and they believe that Nvidia is going to be somewhere between $500 billion and $700 billion. Just to give you an understanding, the current market cap of Nvidia is $500 billion, which even in a bear case scenario, and I want to stress this, a bear case scenario that everything is going to shit, Nvidia is still going to be higher than where it is today in the next 3 years or so. I call this a very bullish bear case scenario, if you know what I mean, because you're still getting fabulous returns. Now let's look at a little bit of a bearish case scenario or a different type of article looking at a different way of thinking. This article is also written this week, 2 days ago, and it was written by Seeking Alpha. It says, Nvidia's growth beyond Moore's Law. Well, let's understand what Moore's Law is. Moore's Law is famously named all the time by Cathie Wood of ARK Invest. This is Moore's Law. What is Moore's Law? Moore's Law refers to Gordon Moore's perception that the numbers of transistors on a microchip doubles every 2 years, though the cost of computers is halved. Moore's Law states that we can expect the speed and capability of our computers to increase every couple of years, and we will pay less for them. Another tenet of Moore's Law asserts that the growth is exponential. All they're saying is that our computing power gets a lot more cost effective and a lot more capable. So our computing power keeps getting better, 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 and the price keeps going lower, lower, lower. So we as a community, we as a culture, we as a world, we as humanity get to prosper, prosper, prosper. Now that we know what Moore's Law is, let's read this article. Summary. Global demand for computation power continues to grow exponentially, but unfortunately CPU capacity no longer grows exponentially. Moore's Law has ended. What they're saying is that people still demand computing power, but those computer products, like the GPUs that NVIDIA makes, cannot keep up with the demand. They can't keep growing as fast as there is demand. I look at this as a bullish case scenario. Why? As long as there's more demand than you have supply, or more demand than you can possibly supply, I believe your company is going to keep growing, growing, growing. This is one of the things that I've been saying in all of my videos, specifically to NVIDIA. Number 2, NVIDIA GPU's accelerated computer has the best shot at meeting the continuously increased computational demand. Agreed. The demand for the data center and professional visualization is accelerating while growth for gaming remains outstanding. Agreed and agreed. Investment thesis. Initially started as a manufacturer of graphics processing units, and saw massive success as the gaming industry grew, leveraging their superior GPU architecture and significant resources, technology, human capital, and cash. They branched out into specific computing, artificial intelligence, data platforms, robotics, and other related fields. I want you to pay attention to that. The other article didn't pay attention to this. They branched out to scientific computing, artificial intelligence, data platforms, robotics, and other related fields. It's very, very important to understand that NVIDIA's growth is not just from simple GPUs that people use in their computer. That's how they started, some cool gaming GPUs. NVIDIA's growth is in the future of humanity. I know I'm sounding crazy and overdramatic, but that's a fact, Adam. NVIDIA literally is pushing humanity to the next level. Between its metaverse or omniverse or digital twins, whatever you want to call it, or their ability for virtual reality, or their ability for computing power that powers and is the engines for a lot of the things that's pushing humanity forward. In particular, the GPU accelerated computer has the best shot at answering the growing demand for computing power. The recent market volatility has lowered Nvidia's stock below its intrinsic value, and investors should take advantage of this because this article is speaking more my language. I'm more leaning towards this article than the first one. Actually, I'm not leaning towards the first one at all. And I honestly believe we are going to get to a $1 trillion market cap in 2025. The global demand for computing power is growing at an exceptional rate, but CPU capacity isn't keeping pace. It is no longer following Moore's law or doubling every 2 years. NVIDIA's GPU accelerated computer has the best shot at meeting the exponential growth in computing power. Revenue growth is accelerating for the data center and professional visualization segments, while demand for gaming products remain outstanding. Thanks to their superior product and economic moat, they enjoy outstanding profitability and massive cash flow. Economic moat is what I like to hear, and that means we are doing great. And then they talk about some solutions, how they can fix Moore's law, but we're not really concerned about that because I just wanted to give you the understanding of why I think that NVIDIA is going to be a $1 trillion company. But what I did want to show you is this picture right here. If you look at it, this is the difference between a CPU and a GPU. A CPU is very basic and a GPU is very robust with many different cores. This is from NVIDIA's Investors Day. This took place around a month and a half ago. This is what I want you to focus on. This is their $1 trillion opportunity. Remember I said, NVIDIA believes they can get 1% of every market that they touch. And then they identified a $100 trillion industry. This is separated between gaming, chips and systems, automotive, Omniverse, enterprise software, NVIDIA AI, enterprise software. Between all of this, you have 100 billion, 150 billion, 150 billion, 300 billion, and 300 billion, totaling $100 trillion. And if NVIDIA can take just 1%, they have a $1 trillion TAM, total addressable market. Now, they did say that they're growing into this market. For that reason, I believe that NVIDIA is going to hit a $1 trillion market cap by 2025. Why? There's nowhere else to go. NVIDIA is the top dog. They have a huge moat around them. That is where you're going to be going. And if we don't reach it by 2025, we'll reach it just a little bit later than that. I believe that NVIDIA is a super bullish company. I believe that there is a lot of growth with NVIDIA. And I truly do believe that the best times for NVIDIA are still ahead. NVIDIA is going to do an earnings call later on in May, towards the end of May, I believe May 25th. I will definitely be covering that. I think NVIDIA has a very prosperous future, but like these articles, you have the good and you have the bad. Just like my opinion, you have good and you have bad. If you ask 100 people, they're going to give you 100 different opinions. With that said, I gave you my opinion and my reasoning, and I would appreciate it in the comments below if you guys can comment and just let me know what you think. What's your thesis? Are you bearish? Are you bullish? Or what do you think? With that said, if I did a good job and only if I entertained and educated, please give me the like, please give me the share, and please give me that subscribe. I greatly appreciate you and happy trading.